This video is motivated, or I got inspired to record today's video from something that I was reading online, and there were a lot of comments on it. I'm not sure this was on Reddit or someplace. A lot of comments on it. So I thought if there are so many comments on this topic, then I think it's worth recording a video and see, how many people watch this video on my channel. So this topic was about why people become successful and still feel empty, and this was why success makes you more emptier than full. The reason why we set goals, we want to get want to accomplish things because we want to feel good about it, and we need to, once we feel good about it, we want to stay there. But it doesn't turn out to be, it doesn't usually happen that way. So why this happens, and there's a lot of, I recorded a bunch of videos on this channel talking about it. So if you are a long time subscriber, then you might have seen a similar video before. But maybe, I had, since then I might have had a few more thoughts and a few more experiences. So I think this is going to be a little different. So why success leaves you empty, and winning feels good, and oftentimes winning breaks the individual than it makes, and winning was supposed to be making to begin with. So for this, I wanted to imagine a triangle, and on one side of the triangle I wanted to imagine we call it a drop. The second side of the triangle, we call it a trap, and the third side of the triangle, we call it a cure. So I'm going to touch all these three triangles very, very quickly in the amount of time I have here. Let's talk about the drop for a second. So there's a big milestone. You successfully achieve that milestone. You have a huge dopamine surge. And when dopamine surge happens, then obviously that has to come down at some point. And it does. And when that happens, then there is a chemical crash. And right after the crash, you need to get some more dopamine in somehow. But there isn't a dopamine available anywhere right away. So there is no reward as such. And then, and during this phase where somebody had a tremendous dopamine effect, the success happened, there is celebration, there is this feeling, and then it all dissipates slowly. The dopamine effect goes away, and then there is nothing planned, nothing is happening right after that, and they couldn't recreate that feeling anymore. This is where, in this phase, that gap, that's where achievers, they feel they have lost despite of the win. And there are numerous case studies on this, specifically the astronauts who go into the space. There are a lot of references to that, a lot of books being written on that. There's a lot of videos and all that on YouTube. So you get the high, you don't get the high anymore. People talk about you, people celebrate you, and then they will not talk about you. That's it. And then you're left alone to deal with yourself, and you're lonely. So that's the drop. Let's talk about the trap for a second. What happens? Well, people tend to start overspending. They want to replace that glory, that fame. For that, they have to buy that fame. They have to buy that glory, start spending money. And then as that happens, they start to forget to do what otherwise got them there. The routines, the practices, all the discipline, all that slowly starts to fade away. They don't have that anymore because they're busy trying to replace it somewhere else. They want that fame to come in. Then they start to drift themselves into other distractions. Not all of them, but we've seen that happen. And distractions come at a cost. So overspending for distractions could also be could also happen. So if you sum this up, success shouldn't make you feel that discipline is optional, but it does in this trap situation. So let's talk about the cure for a second. How do you cure this? And I'll tell you the secure part personally for myself. I one of my lifetime goals was to go and climb Mount Everest, and I set myself up, year after year after year. I listened to people who said, "No, don't do it. You'll die." All kinds of people along the way over the years, and eventually in 2019, I said, "I'll just go do it anyway." So I was excited. The dopamine was high. I went up, and I got to all the way till like up to Camp 2 of the south side climb, and things. I fell sick and all, and then I had to come down. Now, while coming down, the dopamine drop happens. Clearly, while going up, it did happen in bits and pieces because I was starting to fall sick. But then when I started coming down, really became it was obvious to me I can't make it, and then the dopamine just. And then the mistake I made was I did not plan the next climb. Big lesson taken from that. And because I did not plan then, I couldn't plan year after year after year. It went by and I couldn't plan. So the case in point is that you need to plan the next climb, whatever the next climb is for you personally. Okay. Your rituals, whatever those rituals are, whatever you're engaged in, they have to stay the same. So I come down, then despite of this failure, I will keep doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'll not let go of my. So even though that did not happen, I stayed pretty much fit along the way, despite of some health challenges here and there. But I've seen other people gain weight. Some of my people who I climbed with when I was on other mountains, they've gained, they put on some weight and all, and they're not fit anymore, and they're not doing this. So whatever that goal is, whatever the success is, that should be anchored into your identity. And once that happens, then you are now anchored yourself into growth. So if you don't anchor your activities into your identity, then you cannot grow. That's the point here. Okay, so if I have to reframe all this and put all these things together, it's very simple. Okay, success is not a finish line; it's the foundation, and the journey is what we enjoy. And every time you have a success, whatever you are engaged in, you got to say, okay, fine, what is the system, okay, that this success is allowing me to build? That's the question. What system this success is allowing me to build? So I want to systemize the success. It's not a one-off thing. It's not something that I need to feel good and then something happens and I forget about it. So I have been on this channel multiple times. I've spoken about it. You got to move from goal chasing into momentum building, and that momentum building happens once once you start building systems from the wins that you're having. And once the system is in place, even though there is a failure along the way, there are some lessons along the way from the failure too. But then the system is so strong that it doesn't matter what the input is. The system is system. So you stay systematic about what you are going after. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Hopefully this is helpful. If it is, do me a favor. Like this video so I can reach some more people. And if you do subscribe to this channel, then I'll be in front of you as early as tomorrow. And if you drop a comment, then I can speak, you and I can communicate. Okay, that's all for now. Wherever you are, you be safe, and I'll talk to you as early as tomorrow.